Yo, I was watching the latest episode of Peacemaker, the Ignorance is Chris episode. I love the titles, by the way. That's pretty clever. That's pretty clever. Even in episode, when you really think about it, it's a clever title. But that episode made me think about the conversation me and a friend on Facebook were having about the Charlie Kirk situation. And me personally, I'm already tired of talking about it, but it's still a perfect example. At least that's what I think. Um, we were talking about how, well, I brought up the fact that Charlie's situation and like all the other situations are just, you can see the stark difference in how the media treats it and how the public treats it as compared to all these other tragedies that were equally as tragic, but they don't treat it as tragic. And well, we can even use the recent pew pew incident that happened at the church. I think a Church of Latter-day Saints where kids died at that incident. People were injured, people died, and how much coverage did that get? Right? I mean, it's no less tragic than the Charlie situation, but ask yourself, how much coverage did it get when it wasn't a prominent rich white person? Right? Anyway, I was using a whole lot of examples like how they treated Trayvon and George Floyd, how they talked about them as if they weren't even human. When the fallout of that happening, they were saying stuff like they deserved it. That's what they get. They played stupid games and won stupid prizes, and they laughed and they made memes of that. And then the thing happens with Charlie, and they're like, oh my gosh, this is tragic. At the end of the day, you may have not liked him, but he was a human being, and a human life was lost, okay? That's what we need to focus on. You may not have agreed with his politics, okay, but a husband is gone, a father is tragically taken away from us. And I'm like, yeah, my point is, you didn't realize that until it was somebody that is the same melanin level as Charlie Kirk. You didn't realize it until it was Charlie. Do you know how many fathers, how many husbands have died tragically out here? There has been tragedy all around. But in the conversation, I used all those examples like Philando Castile, who got put down in front of his girlfriend and his 4-year-old in the back seat. And it wasn't treated nearly to the level of tragedy as Charlie's was. It's still tragic. I mean, a father is still gone. A life is still gone. And I tried to paint the picture that, yeah, you see how they treated him as if he wasn't even human. You see the difference between when you look like Charlie and when you look like Philando Castile? It's very different. And she said what I was doing was race baiting. And I'm trying to paint the picture that no, it's not race baiting. It's just for the rest of us, for the people that have melanin, you have to learn these lessons real quick. That tragedy exists in this world, that violence is real in this world. And for the rest of us that don't look like Charlie, that aren't as rich as Charlie, that ain't as prominent as Charlie, we have to figure out that lesson real quick. And I'm looking at the episode, the latest episode of Peacemaker, and it's showing that, I don't know how else to say this, Peacemaker has been going to this other verse, and he is just living it up. He loves it. He's with hardcore. His dad's alive. His brother's alive. He's doing super heroics. He loves it there. He wants to stay there. And he is just blissfully unaware that this place is a Nazi place. I don't know how else to say it. I'm not really political literate, okay? It's a Nazi place. The place is literally made for people that look like Chris. The place it's like tailor-made for folks like Chris. Chris is at home there. He can go blissfully unaware of a lot of stuff there. He isn't forced to be confronted with all of this violence and tragedy that's going on. Chris isn't forced to. But notice, as soon as Ads get there, his friend, as soon as Ads gets there, they look her up and down. They chase her down, try to kill her immediately. Try to unalive Ads immediately. Like, right off the bat. And that's what I'm talking about. That instance right there, that example, and it is just an example, not a perfect example, but it is it is an example of how it is for the rest of us in America. You see how Ads had to quickly find out? Ads had to quickly, she had to learn real quick that there's violence in that so-called perfect world that Chris loves so much, that Chris is so at home at. She had to learn real quick that there's violence in this world, that you can be offed in this world. Your life is at stake if you don't pay attention in this world. For Ads, she learned real quick. For Chris, it took so long for him to realize that. And that's what I'm saying. That's kind of like what it is in America. This place isn't made for people that look like Ads, for people that look like Philando Castile, for people that look like me. It's not made for us. For us, the American dream is just as real as that Peacemaker episode, as that world is. It's not real. The American dream is not real. I know. That's just a Peacemaker episode, Nigel. Oh my gosh, that's not real. That's fake TV right there. I know it's fake. It's an example. Oh my gosh, Nigel. That's a TV show. I know. It's just an example. Oh my gosh, Nigel, that's just an isolated place. They're living in a rich neighborhood. There's poverty that's happening there too. I know. It's not a perfect example, but my point is Chris is unaware. And he can afford to be unaware too. He could still very well live in that world comfortably. And it has to take a supernatural event like Hardcore realizing that she has a doppelganger or Economos breaking into someone else's home, and now his life is in danger. That's what it takes for somebody that looks like Hardcore, for somebody that looks like Economos, for somebody that looks like Chris. That's what it takes for them to be aware that there's danger. They have to put themselves in the way of the danger, just like Charlie did. He was in the line of fire, like a lot of times. That's when you actually find out. You have to put yourself in that position. But for people like Ads, violence, the realization of that, it becomes apparent real quick. You have to learn real quick, because if you don't learn, oh yeah, you getting put on a shirt. And that's the picture I'm trying to paint to my friend here. To some of us, we have to learn real quick that this American dream isn't real. Not for us. Not for us. This place It wasn't built for us. It may have been built by us, but it wasn't built for us. We are not welcome. We have to come to the realization real quick that there is tragedy in the world. There is danger in the world. We realize it. People that have melanin, we realize it real fast. This is not a shock to us, but to people who have been living blissfully unaware, for people of privilege who have been living here, people that have the same melanin level as Chris did in Peacemaker, people like Charlie, people that's defending Charlie, they can afford to miss the point repeatedly. They can afford to miss the point. They can afford to keep arguing all day about this stuff. They can afford to bring up these statistics and completely miss the point. But for the rest of us, we have to look at Trayvon's situation. We have to look at Breonna Taylor's situation and Philando Castile's situation. And we are accustomed to tragedy. We knew it's been here. But once again, for people of the same melanin level as Chris and Charlie Kirk, now it's a shock. Oh, we're in danger too? Oh, it's a shock. Now we've of the realization that violence is real. Now we realize violence is real because one of us got touched. Now we realize it's real. Now we realize the need for prayer and togetherness. And now we realize that a human life is a human life. And everybody else was like, yeah, it's been that way for us. We been realized it. Where have you been? But it's like they've been living in an alternate universe where they don't have to realize this stuff. And I'm just, it's not race baiting. It's just that for the rest of the populace, we've been aware. For everybody else has been aware of this stuff. Everybody else has been confronted with violence and tragedy. And it's like when it happens to us, we're not even treated as human. We're treated as we deserved it. Good, another one gone. And I'm trying to get people to realize that for some of us, this isn't a shock. This is everyday life. For some of us, we don't get the flags down half-mast. We don't get nationwide outpour. For some of us, we don't get places, foreign places, giving us murals in honor of us. For some of us, we not looked on as human. I'm just saying, I'm trying to paint the picture, but for some, they can afford to go blissfully unaware.